Good morning, welcome to Breakfast with Martin Geisler and Rachel Burden.
Our headlines today. 3 people have died after multiple stabbings at a park in Reading. Another 3 are seriously injured.
Here's the scene in the town this morning. One man's been arrested. Police have launched a murder inquiry.
There's good news for tourists and holiday homeowners as Spain opens its doors to visitors from the UK.
Are doing this out of respect for the 400,000 British citizens that have a second residency in Spain.
In Oklahoma, President Trump goes back on the road for his first re-election campaign rally since the coronavirus outbreak.
And in sport, Arsenal are told to learn some humility after a last-minute defeat to Brighton sees frustrations boil over at the end of the game.
Morning. Heavy overnight rain is clearing away quite nicely to leave a Sunday of sunny spells and scattered showers, but accompanied by some pretty blustery winds. All the details coming up.
It is Sunday the 21st of June. A very good morning to you. Our top story this morning. 3 people have died and 3 others have been seriously injured after multiple stabbings at a park in Reading.
Police said a 25-year-old man was arrested at the scene on suspicion of murder and is currently in custody. Officers added that the incident is not currently being treated as terror-related, although they are keeping an open mind about the motive. John McManus reports.
An air ambulance descending to the centre of Reading in response to reports of a brutal attack. The first alert came at around 7 p.m. yesterday evening, with witnesses reporting a lone man attacking random members of the public in Forbury Gardens. It's a small park right in the centre of the Berkshire town, and it was busy with people relaxing in the sunshine on the longest day of the year.
I first realised something was up maybe around sort of 7:10 yesterday. There were a lot of sirens that we could hear, and then an air ambulance came very low over where I was living and parked in Kingsmeadow, the park next to us. Naturally, we sort of went out to investigate, and then a second air ambulance arrived. Again, still lots of sirens and lots of emergency response going on at that time.
As well as specialist counter-terrorism police, the air ambulances were joined by 5 regular ambulance crews and a hazardous area response team. Police say that several people were taken to hospital. 3 have died from their wounds and another 3 are seriously injured. A 25-year-old man was arrested at the scene on suspicion of murder. The BBC understands that he is of Libyan origin and had previously been in prison in the UK, but for a relatively minor offence. Police say they aren't currently treating this as a terrorist incident, but they are working with counter-terrorism officers and are keeping an open mind as to the motivation. Then, about an hour later, officers arrived at an address south of the town centre and quickly moved some residents away from a block of flats. At 11 p.m, armed police with shields entered the building. Whoa! Responding to the attack, the Prime Minister Boris Johnson tweeted, "My thoughts are with all of those affected by the appalling incidents in Reading, and my thanks to the emergency services on the scene." While the Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer said very concerning reports from Reading. Thank you to the police and other emergency service personnel responding. Please follow the advice of the police. This was a frightening and deadly attack on members of the public enjoying an ordinary summer evening. Now the investigation into why it happened gets underway. John McManus, BBC News.
Well, our reporter John McManus is at the scene for us this morning. John, has there been any update at all today?
No, and the investigation really kicking off, getting underway this morning. You can see behind me the park and indeed much of Reading town centre now completely cordoned off, quite a large crime scene, as police tried to put together the sequence of events that led to yesterday's stabbing incident, which started at about 7 p.m. And we know, of course, 3 people lost their lives in that incident. 3 more are in hospital with serious injuries, and there may be more. We're not quite sure about the numbers yet. We expect some more information on those later today, and perhaps more information as well about why police carried out that raid at the block of flats not very far from here, about an hour after the incident here at the park. So we do hope for more information from police. One thing they've been making clear is that the events here last night had nothing to do with the Black Lives Matter protest that took place earlier in the day. The two were separated by several hours. And they've also said if anybody filmed any of yesterday's stabbing incident on their phones, they would like to see that footage. They don't want it being uploaded to social media. It could be very potentially upsetting, of course, but it also may provide vital clues. I have to say it's fairly quiet this morning in Reading. I think the town, the people here, are waking up to pretty shocking news.
Thank you very much, John.
Now, there were statements from senior political figures, including Boris Johnson and Priti Patel. Our political correspondent Helen Catt joins us now. Helen, what's the Home Secretary been saying?
Yeah, Priti Patel, the Home Secretary, she's described this as a senseless attack that she said was on people simply enjoying a Saturday evening with family and friends. And she said her heart, prayers and thoughts were all of those affected, and with the people of Reading, who she said must be deeply shocked and concerned by this incident. She also thanked Thames Valley Police for the way that they have handled it. Now, her colleague in the Home Office, the Policing Minister, Kit Malthouse, has also been commenting on this. And he too described it as a horrific and dreadful incident, expressed his deepest sympathies. But he also, just to pick up on something that John mentioned there, he has also put out this plea to people not to share any footage online or to speculate. Now, that is a call that's been made by the National Police Chiefs Council. Kit Malthouse has backed that, and so have many other politicians, including the Shadow Home Secretary, Labour's Nick Thomas-Simons. And there are, of course, 2 MPs which represent Reading itself, and as you'd expect, we've heard from both of them, the Labour's Matt Rodda and the Business Secretary, Alok Sharma. Now, they have both tweeted their support for the emergency services and also said that their thoughts are with those who've been affected by what Matt Rodda described as a dreadful incident.
All right, Helen Catt, many thanks for that.
A 36-year-old man has died from gunshot wounds in Manchester, and a 21-year-old is in a life-threatening condition. Greater Manchester Police said there was an increased police presence in the Moss Side area where the incident is believed to have taken place. Officers said 2 men aged 36 and 21 went to hospital with gunshot wounds at around 1 a.m.
British holiday makers will be able to visit Spain from today without having to quarantine on arrival. The country is lifting the restriction for European travellers, but for the moment, UK tourists will still have to isolate here on their return. Spain's Foreign Minister said British expats played a part in the decision.
Over in the United States, President Trump held his first campaign rally since the coronavirus lockdown began.
He announced on Twitter that almost 1 million people had requested tickets for the event in Oklahoma, but Tulsa's 19,000 capacity arena was far from full. Our North America correspondent David Willis reports.
It wasn't entirely the comeback Donald Trump had been anticipating. Shortly after it emerged that 6 members of his campaign team had tested positive for the coronavirus, a warm-up event nearby was cancelled for lack of attendance. There were empty seats in the auditorium as well. Size matters to this president, and he won't have been pleased.
We begin our campaign, and I just want to thank all of you. You are warriors. I've been watching the fake news for weeks now, and everything is negative. Don't go, don't come, don't do anything. Today it was like I've never seen anything like it.
The Trump campaign blamed the empty seats on the presence of protesters outside, although their attendance was largely peaceful. Despite fears the event could prove a super spreader of the coronavirus, most were not wearing masks. Yet as COVID-19 cases continue to spike in this country, the president went as far as to suggest the testing effort was making his record look bad and should be slowed down.
Here's the bad part. When you do testing to that extent, you're going to find more people, you're going to find more cases. So I said to my people, slow the testing down, please.
His handling of the coronavirus crisis could prove crucial to his re-election chances. David Willis, BBC News, Los Angeles.
Now, 2 new photos have been released by Kensington Palace to celebrate Father's Day and Prince William's birthday. Here are the pics. They were taken earlier this month by the Duchess of Cambridge. And there's William with Prince George, Princess Charlotte and Prince Louis, taken in their garden at Anmer Hall, which is where they live on the Sandringham estate in Norfolk. The Duke turns 38 today, so happy birthday to him. Happy Father's Day to all fathers out there this morning, especially mine and yours, Martin.
Yes.
On his electric scooter.
Indeed. Happy birthday to everybody who celebrates Father's Day. It won't be being celebrated in my house. We're a bunch of curmudgeons.
No, right. As you were explaining earlier, yeah. We're going to be talking a little bit about holidays, travelling abroad. This question of whether Spain, now opening up to UK tourists, whether Brits will really, practically speaking, be able to go there, given the Foreign Office advice is still no non-essential travel. So let us know what you think about that, home or away. You can get in contact with us. Hashtag BBC Breakfast on social media this morning. It is 8:10.
Right, let's return to our top story now. And as we've been hearing all morning, 3 people are dead and 3 others have serious injuries after a knife attack in a busy park in Reading. Right, let's just take you through what we know so far.
Police were called to Forbury Gardens at about 7 p.m. following reports that a number of people have been stabbed. Police are not currently treating the incident as terror-related, but counter-terrorism officers were called.
One eyewitness, Lawrence Wart, described the devastating scenes in the park as events unfolded.
So there was quite a lot of people in the park, all drinking with friends, like in relatively large groups. And there was a group of about 8 to 10 people, I think, middle-aged men drinking in a circle. And suddenly this one lone man darted off the path to the left towards them. And then, so after those 3, he turned around and looked for another group. So he locked eyes on me and the person I was with and started coming towards us, and we turned and ran. And when he realised he wasn't going to be able to catch up to us, he turned back around, went for another group that was facing away from the first group, so hadn't quite realised or reacted yet. It seemed so quick at the time, probably around a minute, maybe.
Well, officials praised the response of the emergency services, but said the town was in a state of shock. Matt Rodder, Labour MP for Reading East, described the devastating impact on the community.
I live about a mile away from where this happened, and we saw helicopters overhead and were wondering what was going on initially. So the emergency services acted very promptly and were obviously effective in containing what could have been an even worse incident. So I would like to pay tribute to them. And at the scene, there were a number of people. And as you may know, images of some of what happened were put up on social media. One thing it is worth mentioning, the police would ask people not to share these images, but to contact them if they have any evidence. Well, it's very distressing in what is a very quiet and peaceful, medium-sized town. And thankfully, we've not had anything of this nature, well, as far as I know, ever before. So it's really quite a shocking incident for our community. And local people are pulling together to try and support one another, which is very important at this difficult time.
Reading East MP Matt Rodder there. Well, other people have described the attack as totally senseless. Reading's council leader says the area where the stabbings took place is a popular place for people to get together with friends and family.
An entirely senseless and horrific attack. We don't know anything more about the motive at the moment. Of course, there is an ongoing police investigation. I don't think it would be helpful to speculate further than that. For our part at the council, we're offering our full support to the police and to other emergency services as they progress things this morning. And of course, we all want to know more. And I'm quite sure that the police, as more information is available, will be sharing that. The Black Lives Matter event had finished some 3 hours previous and was, by all accounts, a very well conducted, peaceful demonstration. And this is not a connected attack with that whatsoever.
Police have a suspect in custody, as we know. Lots more to come on this story, I'm sure, over the course of today. And you can keep up to speed with it all as it develops here on the BBC News Channel.
See the headlines as they happen and watch BBC News live in the app and get the full story with bbc.co.uk/news. Follow the story for all the latest with BBC News.